there were a lot of concerns about the connections of the Chinese Communist Party. Well, out of nowhere, Ford Motor Company says they're pausing construction on this $3.5 billion facility. One of the most outspoken critics of this and other plants like it in Michigan and across the country has been Pete Hoekstra, former House Intelligence Committee chair, former member of Congress for 18 years from Michigan. He's back with me today. Pete, I just talked to you yesterday, and man, what a surprise this is. What do you know? Where did this come from? What do you make of it?
Well, I mean, this project has been going downhill over the last 4 or 5 months. Start with recognizing this technology is not ready for prime time. The publicity stunts that were engaged in with Jim Farley and Gretchen, how do I forget? Not Gretchen, they're the same.
Gretchen Whitmer.
Jennifer. Yeah. Our Secretary of Energy.
I got you. Secretary of Energy, yeah. Jennifer Granholm, the former governor, in cahoots with the current governor, Gretchen Whitmer. Yeah, we get all of these people together on the same page. They're all telling us this is a great way to go. You're exactly right. The technology is nowhere near ready. And all of a sudden, Ford, this is a $3.5 billion plan. By the way, about $1 billion of those dollars coming from Michigan taxpayer and Michigan sources to set this thing up. It was going to create 2,500 jobs, but then we found out half of those jobs wouldn't be Michigan people, they'd be Chinese nationals. That's just one of the problems.
Right. And then you put along with that, and Ford comes, imagine this, Ford Motor, right, comes out and says, we're going to pause this until we figure out whether we can actually make money doing this. Excuse me, you're getting billions of dollars of federal and state money, and now you're going to actually step back and do due diligence. The bottom line is nobody did due diligence on this project. It was just chasing federal dollars. It was Ford didn't do due diligence. The MEDC didn't. The state legislature didn't do it. The local government at Marshall didn't do it. This raises all kinds of questions about what was going on here. Now we know why they put out non-disclosure agreements for these projects, because maybe there was nothing to disclose. Nobody had done any work.
Right, and it's not the only plant. This is one of several being worked on in Michigan. Now, there's one you've been working closely with. This is in Marshall. The Ford Blue Oval factory was in Marshall, about, 45 minutes south of Lansing. About 45 minutes the other way, or maybe a touch more, is the city of Big Rapids. Ferris State University is there. And this plant called Goshen, this company called Goshen, building an EV plant there. You had a meeting last night where concerned citizens got together. I'm going to guess a lot of happy people there, because Goshen is another company with direct ties to the Chinese Communist Party, and they're setting up shop in these massive farm fields, right? Building new factories. Michigan has lots of buildings you could put EVs in, down in Detroit or elsewhere. Same's true across this country, and yet for some reason they're all hell-bent, these Chinese battery companies, on building a giant chunks of farmland. What happened last night?
Well, last night, the group that I'm a part of, we announced that we are potentially suing Goshen for the Endangered Species Act. Again, because there's been no due diligence. There was no environmental impact statement questioning the amount of water that they're going to be pulling out of the water table, impact on the environment, and those types of things. And so, we've done the background on environmental issues, and there's an Invasive Species Act. So the process you have to go through, you have to give the company 60 days notice that you are going to sue them for the impact that they're having on the environment. We announced that yesterday. We're looking at other legal initiatives to stop this plant. I think what you're seeing in Marshall, what you are seeing in Big Rapids, is you can't beat grassroots. In November, there's going to be a recall election to recall the supervisor of the township where this plant is going to be built. We're recalling 5 of the members of the township board. This community does not want this plant. They don't want a Chinese communist plant in the middle of their community. And there's nothing better than working with grassroots against the elites who are being sponsored by the politicians in Lansing and the politicians in Washington, and also by corporate greed. In Goshen, the Right Place, a business organization out of Grand Rapids, is getting $50 million for this project. It's absolutely outrageous. It's plus these are folks that are on the MEDC board. They're handing out Michigan taxpayer dollars to who? To themselves. Same thing happened in Marshall. And it's Ford doesn't care. Lansing doesn't care because guess what? They're not spending their own money. They're not being careful with it. They're just throwing money at these projects because it's taxpayer money, and they're never held accountable.